Hello, I'm Devon Parsons, and today, as part of the FMA Festival, I'm hosting a discussion about Black beauty standards. Yes, we are really going there with this festival. Black beauty standards. We're going to go into this subject where people have never delved before. I have got a stellar cast, a stellar panel who are Bengalis in their fields. First off, Jody Furlong. He's the founder of the Eye Casting, one of the most cutting-edge casting agencies, I would say, in London. You revolutionized street casting, I would say. Jodie's cast campaigns for Louis Vuitton, Benetton, Samsung, Molson Brown. Need I say, but you know what, Jodie, I'm impressed, honey. I'm impressed. And I know I've booked a few of those models with you.
Yeah.
I'm ideal to book with. I know I'm a good agent to book with. And next we have Menna. Now, Menna is the high priestess of mental health, well-being, and fashion. If you're a depressed fashionista, Menna will read you, and I mean read you, and she'll put you on the right track. I swear to God, she's done it for me enough times. Also host of a brilliant podcast, which is really revolutionized kind of people that kind of start off late in life. It's called The Late Bloomers. And she discusses many kind of like life-challenging issues that will really just kind of blow your mind. And last but no means least, the gorgeous, hello, Roger Dupe. I looked like you, by the way, a couple of years ago.
Yeah, that's good.
The first, I'm not even joking, the first Black model from Sweden to receive international acclaim. I mean, I've seen you in campaigns for Kenzo, Jean-Paul Gaultier. I remember the Ralph Lauren campaign you did. In 2019, you released your autobiography. And it was like the road from home to where you are now in fashion, which I would say, guys, get this autobiography because I'm definitely going to get it because this will be a brilliant read. And yes, so welcome, guys. I'm excited. So let's just start this first leg off about Black beauty standards because we're all from different backgrounds, almost different nationalities. So we're going to have very kind of differing views and inputs and viewpoints on this. So I just want to put this kind of out there. So European standards of beauty, they've had an impact on Black women. What has been this impact? How can we talk about how has European standards of beauty really impacted Black women globally, like Black people globally? Let's start off, actually ladies first, Menna.
I think when we talk about Black beauty...
sorry, let me just say that again. What are the current Black beauty standards that are imposed? No, that's better. What are the current Black beauty standards, that's clearer, that are imposed on us, especially from a European point of view right now?
I would say that definitely when it comes to our appearance, what people see as like the current Black beauty standard is mainly around body image, I think, around how your body is shaped. Recently, it's become less about, you know, the slim is no longer in, I don't think. It's more curvy, it's more curvaceous. It's all about whether or not you have like a big bum, nice, but like a tiny waist. Then it's also about the snatched look. So everything has to look almost perfect, whether you have like a slim nose. So those kind of European standards have definitely affected the way in which Black women perceive ourselves and what we should look like in turn. I think it's also about the color, the hues of your skin tone, you know. Only recently we're starting to see more and more darker skinned women, but when I was growing up, that was not the case. I remember being bullied at school for my skin tone, and a lot of the time it would come from the Black community. And it's almost as if the European standards have become internalized, like we've taken them on. The conditioning has definitely happened. And I see it even in my nieces and how they view themselves at such young ages. I think a lot of it has to do with representation, but we could go on. But at the moment, this is how I think the current beauty standards are and what they look like.
Roger, do you want to respond to that? Do you want to get in on that?
Yeah, I mean, I agree, and I hear what you're saying. I think you are the only one that actually can speak about that, because you're a woman and a Black woman of color.
Yes, she's the only woman here, guys.
Yeah, so I mean, from my perspective, I can just speaking about my experience and what I've seen, but definitely the bully part. But it's come. I mean, I grew up in Sweden, so I was the only Black child in my class and during my whole school years, and from there it was kind of like hard and tough for me to pay my way and accept myself. But I got it from my parents. Like, they told me about Black history, they educate me about Black leaders. So I had like big role models like Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King, Kwame Nkrumah from Ghana, and they teach me about Mensa Musa from Mali, you know, the Mali Empire. So I got all of those like information and all my heritage that is so powerful that I should be proud, you know, and Black is beautiful. And so that come from my parents. But in the society, I mean, it was tough, of course, no matter what. And I think also as a population in Sweden, the Black community is not quite big. So for me, it's quite hard to fit in. You always stand out, no matter which type of room you are in.
What was the racism like? What racism did you face?
Yeah, the N-word. I mean, you have big lips. It can be like different kind of things. But for me, I also start to play soccer quite early. And when you became good at something, children want to be around you. Yeah, exactly. So that was something that had been helping me, and it became a sort of a weapon for me, that I was better than them in soccer and can protect myself and my integrity in that sense, so to speak. So of course I have the same experience. I think every Black people or around the world got the same experience. I don't think any Black people have never overcome racism, and that's quite sad. But I think the next generation will be better, definitely.
Sure. Jodie.
Like, where to start? There's so much to talk about on
There's so much to talk. You know what? I'm sorry. I need to just say this one thing. This issue is heavy. It's vast. There's so much material. I just feel Black beauty standards. It's political. It's cultural. It's social. It's fashion. It's every part, literally, of society. So you go ahead.
There's also lots of conflicting things going on here, because historically, in fashion, in advertising, which is obviously where I come in here, Black women have not been celebrated, and yet things associated with Black people, whether it's, especially now, curvaceous bodies, big lips, they are celebrated, but not necessarily on Black people. So there's this weird dynamic going on, right? Where we celebrate lighter skinned women or white women who give off kind of this kind of vibe of being Black without actually being Black. So there's where you can't win in that situation, right? And historically, obviously Black women's hair has been policed. In the world of modeling, until very recently, Black women had straight hair. Like, as you know, Devon, like every Black, unless you were like Alec Weck, and there's a whole other discussion to be had about like, you know, very dark-skinned Sudanese women, you had straight hair. Black women did not have curly hair, they did not have braids, they didn't have their natural hair. In the last 3 years, all Black models have their natural hair. It's what we want from them. So there's definitely be a sea change in the modeling about how Black women present themselves and what is expected of them, which is, and even from a scouting perspective, when I try and place models now, everyone wants Black models, and that's not just last year. This has been coming for the last 3 or 4 years.
Since Edward Enninful took the helm at
it is, but it's even before then, because I think a lot, especially in London, and we're all in London, so like that's what I can talk about. I think what really is the game changer was the kind of high street brands. When you look at Topshop, ASOS, Primark, like they don't care. Well, they do care. They want people of all ethnicities because they understand who their customers are. Their customers are young people. Young people do not have the same hang-ups that past generations had. And what drives the fashion industry in London is those kind of street brands. Like,
do you think it's tokenism?
No, it's not, because what's happened, so a brand like ASOS, they know who sells. They choose their models depending on who can sell what products. They know these girls and boys are selling these products, and that's why they book them time and time again. If they weren't selling, they wouldn't use them again and again. So
can I just jump in quick?
Because people jump in. Let's get this going.
It's super important, but what I'm trying to take it a bit further is more in the sense to see, like, when we speak about diversity, how does the organization looking like? Who's sitting around the table?
Roger, thank you. The organization.
For me, it's like, okay, to book a black model, that doesn't gonna change anything. I mean, I think Philip Lane was the first one. We walked the show 2012. Every black model was in the show, and he wanted to do a statement. But for me, regardless if that a statement or not, it's more in the sense like, have I ever shot with a black photographer? I've been in the industry over decades.
Yeah. Never.
I mean,
it's true.
Come on, like, in the higher position, who has the power to decide things? I mean, we have a couple right now, but of course, Virgil, it's amazing that he's the first one. But can you imagine, like, he's even double than my age. We have never seen any black, like, creative director on that high position before.
It's true. I scout. I'm sorry.
And I think that's where the tokenism comes in, right? It's the fact that on the lower end, kind of when you're picking models, it's all great. And I get what Roger is saying. It's all great that we have representation there, but does it go up? It doesn't. And I think it's an argument that, you know, a lot of people have had for a long time, especially when it does come to beauty standards as well, because it's those at the top who are choosing what is trending. And I think that's where the tokenism and the trending, those kind of words come into play a lot, because you've seen that happen, particularly within the past year. I feel like when the George Floyd riot started, I saw a lot of agencies signing up black models. That's even when I got signed to an agency. And I thought to myself, I'm 31 years old. Prior to this, nobody was looking or checking for me like that. And so it's like, you know, people making those kind of decisions, I do think that it's coming from a tokenist perspective and not necessarily from them trying to be all inclusive, because inclusivity doesn't happen across the board.
I completely agree. But as a starting point, as like the last year, there has been lots of tokenism going on. You turn on the TV, every single advert has a black person in it, every single one, and that is, I don't know if in long term it's not sustainable, and it's not necessarily desirable in the long term, because what we want people to be fairly represented. We don't want people to be overrepresented just for tokenistic reasons. But if it leads to, in the future, brands saying, do you know what? This has placed us in a really good place. We've increased our income. We're reaching out to new communities, and they continue to do it for the right reasons. Then I don't mind if for a year or so
I'm going to say
longer. Sorry, Devin.
You finish your point.
No, my point is, like, sometimes things have to start somewhere, and if they start somewhere and then move on to a more rounded representation, then
I hear you, and I totally agree. But I think, like, if it needs to start from the point. It's the same thing here. Like, we are people of color that are talking about people of color's problem. We understand already the problem. Where are the white people here that need to understand the problem?
And it is, you know, we've all heard the cliches about black girls being difficult or being all those cliches. Exactly. And how do you expect to communicate people when you don't know anything about their lives or their experiences? So there's a whole sea change that has to go in an agencies. That you're absolutely right. It's not just about signing more black girls. It's about having people in an agency who can understand people from different cultures as well.
Also on sets, I think that the majority of the time, you know, if I've spoken to Black models, and something that I've also experienced, going on set, I bring my own makeup, like we all do. Like that is something that everyone's like, bring your makeup, bring your hairbrushes, because you literally have no clue. It's like playing Russian roulette. You really don't know what you're going to look like. And so it's better for you to take charge and that's the expectation that's kind of mounted upon us, but it's not necessarily that other models don't have that same kind of challenge or worry when they go on set. It's not the same.
I'm dying to kind of like delve into the whole blackfishing. I'm just being dying, literally, this is the highlight for me. The whole blackfishing. You see, I never really took much notice, I'm not going to lie. I kind of heard that it occurred. I've seen like Instagrammers, influencers on chat shows, like convincing the whole world that they're Black. I think one of the girls was Swedish, actually.
Yeah, she is.
Was actually Swedish. And it just seems to me that, I'm sorry, right. If you're kind of working a number, when I mean this, is that when you're kind of putting yourself into a space where it's almost a cultural appropriation in a way.
It is. That's exactly what it is.
You know exactly what you are doing. You know you are, you're gaining something. You don't put yourself in that space just for, I just love it. You're gaining financial rewards of it. And what I find difficult is that you're taking away an opportunity for a Black girl, for a mixed race girl.
I understand the whole topic. I can jump into that when it comes.
Yes, the topic, jump in, please.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's more of that people love our culture. It's a trend. It's always a trend. Like our culture always leave a stamp, but we never get credibility for that. And I think that is the biggest issue. And I think people don't want to give us credit. I don't know why. But it feels like it's the same. It's been like that in generation. Like they can take our resources, but don't like give us back the money, so to speak. So I think it's a thing that's been going on for a while. But I think also as a responsibility, we need to create our own tables. We need to create our own places, our own community.
Yes, I love the way you talk it. Yes.
You know, so I can never depend on everybody else. It's more in the sense of like, what can I do? What can I do for my people? Okay.
Man, I want you to jump in here now because I know you've got strong views about this.
Well, I feel like it's that saying, right? Everyone wants to be Black until it's time to be Black. And it's the fact that, you know, a lot of people can do this whole blackfishing thing, can take certain elements of what they like and place it on them and decide, you know, for the day, they just want to, like, it's like costume or Halloween. I don't know how they decide that they want to, you know, basically be like us.
Costume.
Yeah, and it's just, I think the reason why people do get upset, and I don't think it's around credibility, I think it's got more to do with what the Black person has to experience on a day-to-day basis. And the fact that that can't be replicated, nobody wants to take that on, right? Because they know, everybody knows. We're at the bottom of the totem pole when it comes to how the world views us, particularly in other countries, whether it's Asia, you go to places like Asia, people will think, oh, Black people, like, we're anomalies, you know? And I think a lot of the time that weight is so hard for us to carry that it becomes very annoying, as a Black woman especially, very annoying that, you know, people can pick and choose when they want to be Black or when they want to take certain features of ours and profit off it as well. That's the annoying part.
It's the profit thing that annoys me.
Yeah, and then, you know, not even give back to our community or say, you know, that here's something that I can do to help elevate the cause of Black people across the globe. There's nothing like that. We're literally just sitting here waiting for people to notice us and actually just respect us. I think that's what annoys people the most, is that it comes with this sense of entitlement. Yes. And it's like, I'm entitled to do this because I'm in a position of power, and they power play on it all the time, constantly. So this Jesy Nelson thing, it's not new. It happens every 3 months to cause some kind of Black outrage where we get really upset and uptight. To be honest, I don't even get upset about it anymore. That's the honest truth, because I feel that that is the whole point of the whole marketing ploy. It's to make us outraged so that we become upset. The views go up. People are like, who's Jessie Nelson? Yeah. I didn't even know who she was before all of this happened. I really didn't.
I don't follow the master. Me never know. Me never know.
But this is just a more extreme version of what's gone on in music forever. I mean, it's basically what Elvis Presley did, right? And
yes, the first one.
I mean, it's what everybody throughout the history of music. You get black people making music, and then they either remake it with a different person fronting it. Like, it's been going on forever. And you, even to the extent that you look at the British female soul singers, they're all white. No disrespect to Adele or Amy or Jessie, like all of them. But you can't tell me you can't find a black woman who can sing like this, because I could find one in an afternoon. I do have a slight sympathy for someone like Jessie. I mean, I know she is. I don't know anything about the music or anything like that. That I think she genuinely did grow up in a society that loves black music, loves black culture. Everyone's having a tan these days. So I don't think it was a calculated thing on her behalf. Maybe someone at the record company thinks it is, but I genuinely think that someone who's been involved in the music industry for the last 10 years and does make kind of R&B inspired music, it feels like a natural place for her to be in her own head.
Natural, but calculated.
Well, yes. I mean, but I have a slight sympathy for the idea that she didn't realize what she was doing, whereas these girls who the influencer ones who literally wake up in the morning and try and look like black people, and that's for me, it's a whole different level of idiocy. Exactly.
So let's just go on to kind of like, the next kind of like question. Has society evolved? Who is setting the benchmark?
And we're at a space now, and once again, I think there's been a lot of change recently. Like, just if we're talking about models, or even just people in general. And we talked about at the very beginning about hair, and about how I see braids, I see curls, I see all these black hairstyles that I didn't see for years.
But I mean, we cannot deny also, like, it's a trend now.
It's done untold damage to us as a people. So let's kind of start from there, how it's evolved and where we've come to today. Roger.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's hard to say, because in the end of the day, you was touching it when we talk about American. I'm not American by myself, but I was living there in two and a half years. So I spoke, and I have a lot of friends that are Afro-American, and the concept of Afro-American, what is that? They don't understand where they're coming from. They don't understand their identity. They don't understand, like, the religion they have. Like, they took everything from them, So the new person, of course, they want to fit in. Of course, you want to reach the society. Of course, you want to look like them. Of course, you want to have the same ability that they got. You want to do everything to fit in. I mean, we as a human, we want to be together. I mean, to be alone, you will die. It's always been so. So I think it's more in the sense to just understand, go back to the rule, understand where you're coming from. We can see that return of Africa. Now everybody went to Ghana, it was a big thing. People starting to like engage and see like what I'm actually coming from. So where is my heritage? People are missing that.
Self.
Devon, we're suffering from self-hate. That is the bottom line. That is the bottom line. If they have treated you like this year for 400 years, then you need to wait like 400 years again to recover.
That's the black beauty industry has perpetuated self-hate. Jodie, comment, please.
I mean, I live in Peckham. Every other shop is a black hair shop, and every other shop has rows and rows and rows and rows and rows of relaxing and bleaching products in the window.
Yeah.
So presumably they're still selling them. If you go to, it's not, there's no science, I've not done a scientific survey, but a lot of countries in Africa have a lot of chemical straightened and using white. I saw a documentary once, it was in Kenya, and all the women were saying, oh no, we bleach our skin because we want to look pretty, we want to look white people are prettier. I think historically there have not been role models in popular culture of people with darker skin. And there might have been the odd one every now and then, but like it's always been very light-skinned women, you know, straight hair or you can look, you'll have curls, but there have been very few role models of dark-skinned women. And in fashion, Alec Weck changed the game, obviously, but now, I mean, Sudanese models are the hottest models in the world right now. Adut is the biggest model in the world, and for someone like her to be seen as, like, you know, on every single Vogue cover. It does. I mean, it's a little thing, but it will change. And I think it's those kind of things are important. Representation is important by putting someone with darker skin and saying this is a beautiful woman. It's the biggest model in the world, like almost like the most beautiful person in the world. It does make a difference, and it trickles down as well. It will trickle down through. If it starts at the fashion, it trickles down through the high streets. It trickles down into music. It trickles down everywhere else. So I think it's really important.
Mena, how did we get here? How have we evolved?
Oh, have we evolved?
What's damaged us? What's damaged us up to this point?
Like
what's kind of good up to this point?
I feel like psychologically, it's definitely had an effect on how people view themselves, and actually how we kind of view each other within the community, you know, because I feel like it really does make a difference when you're seen. And I love the point that Jodie made just about like people like representation, like models like Adut, and seeing that has just been life-changing, even for me, because it's like, wow, growing up, I wish I had that. I wish I could see somebody who looked like me, like my skin tone, and it was celebrated in such a beautiful way. But I do feel like we do have a long way to go. I lived in Nigeria for 4 years, and living out there, I had never been more aware of my skin tone than when I lived out there, which is so shocking because it's Africa, and you think to yourself, being back at home, you should feel that people do embrace darker skin. That's not the case at all. Pretty much everyone bleaches.
Jamaica's the same.
It's like, if you're not bleaching, then what are you doing? And at some stages, I even felt pressured to do it because I was just like, you know, how do I assimilate? How do I fit into this society and this culture? And that was a really like saddening thing for me because it made me feel that self-hate just didn't go away. It was like, even in my late 20s, I was still feeling this pressure to look a certain way, to be lighter skin toned. And it was just pathetic, really. And I feel like that's where we need to see the change. It needs to start from the source. I feel like when Africans and when we truly embrace who we are as a Black community and love on each other, we'll start to see the evolution take place. Because I feel the world beats to our pulse. We are the pulse of the world.
It is so ingrained. I remember, I mean, I'm old, all my stories are from back in the day, but and things may have changed some since then, but I remember when Alec Weck was like the new big model in the late 90s in the UK, and she went to South Africa there was a fashion show with Nelson Mandela, and there was all articles in the South African press, like, who is this ugly girl?
Yeah.
Why are they sending this dark girl here, telling us she's beautiful? We don't think she's beautiful. We think she's ugly. They're like, it's just colonialism again. White people telling us what we should think is beautiful. So like, it's so mixed up.
It's so deep. It's so deep. And I think this conversation has even shown all of us sitting here just how deep it is, because I'm thinking back to not only my experiences, the experiences of my friends, my sisters, my family members. And it's just like, wow. Like, even looking, for instance, I think it really has to start from young ages. I have 2 nieces. They're both, one of them is 3 and one is 7. And the other day, one of them, she's completely obsessed with Frozen at the moment. That's her thing. She just loves Frozen. She always wants to watch Frozen. And her mom took a video of her the other day and sent it to us, like you do. And in the video, she was watching something about Frozen. I think they were doing like a yoga something on TV. Like, some woman was talking about Elsa and Frozen. And then her mom said to her, oh, why don't you do it? Like, try and do the move. She said, I can't, mommy. She was like, Elsa's blonde, like Elsa's white. Like, I can't be like her. And it's just those kind of, it starts from a young age. I feel like that's when we'll really begin to see the change. When children start seeing themselves as beautiful for being Black and not feeling like they are othered for being Black.
That's where the
what we're
change
really
comes.
about to see
And
the
I know we've got to touch more on that finally, but it's like it really starts from in the home, from when you're kind of combing the hair, greasing the hair, plaiting it. You're telling your black child, your black daughter, your black son how beautiful, how handsome, how amazing they are. It literally starts from that. Did you want to say something?
No, I
Jodie?
just want to
I'm sorry,
jump in
Roger.
to just see like also the parents has the responsibility to
Yeah.
take care of that, because I can just go from my point of view. Of course, it's terrible that that's happened. I also seen that. I mean, you don't see dolls that are black as well. Now it's starting to popping up, so it's super important. But I also think like the confidence come from the home and the parents. If you have parents that embrace you and tell you you're beautiful and tell you like your curly hair is amazing and give you role models that you can look up abroad, I think that makes a really good impact as well. But as you say, the society that we're living in has also their responsibility.
Yeah.
Because there's so much subliminal stuff going on that you don't even know. There's stuff that you don't even like notice, and kids pick things up. And this is not just around ethnicity, is it? It's around weight. It's around gendered things. It's like you can shop and all the girl stuff's pink. With butterflies and all the boy stuff says like kind of strong empowering stuff. Like there's so much stuff that goes on with kids that is societal, that parents may not even be aware of until it's not too late, but like it's very, very difficult.
Especially now with like iPads and social media, and how much access children do have to these devices and what they're seeing on a day-to-day basis, it makes a huge difference. I feel that's where we'll really begin to see the change, though. It starts with the kids.
Right. Let's get to our third and final point. Okay, what is next in the beauty industry? How can we ensure our representation is authentic? What's next? How can we ensure it's authentic?
I think we can take a lead in our field, as I said earlier, like create our own businesses.
Yes.
We know our product, create things for us.
How did you start Melon? So I'm gonna ask, just go into how did you start Melon?
Actually,
is that how I pronounce it? Is that the right
Melon.
I'm so good at pronouncing.
Yeah, Melon. So basically, it started as when I was traveling a lot. My mother always told me to buy her like skincare products and hair care products around the world all the time, because she didn't find anything in Sweden. And I didn't believe in that in the beginning, because I didn't thought it was a huge problem that it didn't exist, because we have plenty of skincare brands and big department store in Sweden, So I was like, no. And then I did my research and started to dig into that. And I saw like, oh, in the whole Scandinavia, they don't have any skincare products for Black people. And I was shocked, and I was like, okay, but then I need to do something about it, because I've been speaking of this topic a lot when it comes to diversity and inclusion during my model career as well. So I was just thinking like, why don't I take all my experience and create something for us?
But also just when we're talking in this space, just the fact that Rihanna came around with a makeup range that actually catered for lots of different shades. Yeah. When was that, 2017, 18? And everyone's like, oh my God, makeup for every shade. It's like, what? Like, how does it take Rihanna to do that?
She's cleaned up.
Cleaned up with the most basic idea possible. Why L'Oreal or whoever haven't been doing that for years is just, because it was always, Iman's got her own, own brand, wasn't it? That's what we talked about.
Our power as consumers wasn't recognized.
But it's insane that it takes Rihanna to do that and to tap into this market that is not just about Black people either. It's about everybody.
How would you say, man? I want to kind of pose this as obviously as part of our kind of concluding kind of issue is how important is it for kind of Black people literally to have some control of our image and to kind of own the rights of who we are and benefit from who we are?
I think that's what it's about, though. Even to Jodie's point around Rihanna, it was that whole sense of people getting behind it because it's authentic. And when something is real and authentic and the story resonates, people will always come to you. And I just want to say as well, Roger, I have your products. I didn't even know.
Oh my God.
Amazing. Like your day cream, your night cream, incredible. And the scent, beautiful. And I think that's what it's about. It's about storytelling. It's about being authentic with our stories, having conversations like these where we can talk amongst each other and tell each other what's going on within our communities, building community together. I feel like that's what makes us prioritize ourselves and in turn our well-being, and in turn just Black culture in general, and making sure that, you know, we are building each other, we are lifting each other up, we're putting each other on when we can. I feel like that's what's next, and that's what it will take for us to really build amongst each other and say, you know what, even this FMA Fest is a testament to that.
Yes.
Us coming together to say, you know what, it's time to take what we've all battled with in every industry, whether it be fashion, corporate, wherever we are in the world, whatever our battle scars are, let's come and share them amongst each other and build together. Community is key. And I feel like that's the future. When we're able to build community, nothing can stop us. And so I believe that's what's next.
I think that now people are not so reliant on mainstream culture for influences. Social media has changed that completely.
Yes.
And in social media, you can find your own little groups, whether it's about, you know, it's the same with, talk about curve models now. Like, it's the same with all different
curve models. That's now a total thing now.
Absolutely.
Totally.
Like, there's not a shoot I've cast in the last 3 years where they haven't said we want body diversity. It's because they know that that's who we're selling to. And it's the same with ethnicity. It's the same with all those things that used to be, oh, short girls. Like, it's all like, it's everybody is included now. And I hope that it's not just a fad, because economically it's what it's working, and ultimately it comes down to economics, right? I just also want to say before so obviously we're here talking about Black beauty standards today and about Black models, etc. We mustn't forget that there's still a lot of work to be done with other ethnicities, and especially in the UK around Southeast Asian representatives.
But then, Jodie, as you said, social media has changed the game for everything, and so I do believe, you know, more representation will be the future. That's what we're striving towards, and I do believe we will get there as we band together and work together to do so. And so find your tribes, find people that think like you, like-minded people. Bigotry is out the window as far as
out the window. Gone.
So it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much, and it was truly interesting and really good topic to discuss.
Very good.
And it was a privilege to be a part of it.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Lovely meeting you.
Thank you.
Bye, Devon.
Bye, Mena.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Jodie. Bye.